what your dog needs you to know, you're in the right place. Your dog needs you to know you're in the right place. Now here's today's Dogsplainin episode. All right, we are live.
I forgot, where are you? What state are you in?
I am in South Carolina, in North Palm Beach. I'm about 3/4 of a mile from the beach.
Nice.
And golf cart down to the ocean and play in the water and do all those fun things. And you're out in California now, right?
Yep, I got redwoods in my front yard and I got the Russian River in my backyard. So same, I just walk down and get on a paddleboard and I'm literally going through the redwoods on a river. I just think this is heaven.
That's fantastic. Well, let me know when you have a retreat and I will come visit.
I will. I've considered it because there's literally so many retreat centers and they're all in the woods and I'm like, I need to do a woman's retreat.
You sure do. A dog mama retreat.
Exactly.
So,
it's like,
all right. Well,
and if you could, everybody could bring their dogs, it'd be even better.
Exactly. So, welcome, Angelina Ardolino. We're happy to have you here today. I know that we're going to be talking about all things natural wellness and your company's CBD Dog Health and MycoDogs, but I know what I understand is you got started in this from your own health issues, which is a common path many people find themselves on. And then your dog had some health issues. Your dog actually had osteosarcoma, right?
Well, I had a Doberman with osteosarcoma, but my soul dog, Odie, was diagnosed with degenerative myelopathy at the same time I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah. So I know that was the catalyst that sent you down looking for cannabis and all of those things. And somehow that also led you down to the fungus, the fungi among us. And I want you to tell us a little bit about that story, and then we'll dive into some of the other aspects of natural wellness.
Yeah, I had what kind of like a media company where I had a magazine and I had a segment that would be played on radio shows and TV segments that be, syndicated, and it was all about natural living. And it was all about removing the toxins in your life. I've been talking about BPA and red dye and you name it for over 25 years now. And 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And I was like, I thought I cleaned up my diet enough. I thought I removed all the toxins, but has a lot to do with that and the fact that I was a very stressed out person. So I knew that if I gave myself this autoimmune disease that I could certainly reverse it. I was in pain and as I said, stressed out, and somebody that I knew handed me a tincture, a cannabis tincture, FICO, which is full extract of cannabis oil. And thank goodness it was a good one, or I probably would have never tried it again.
Right.
And I put that dropper in my mouth and it hit my mouth and I immediately could feel it. And I was like, what in the world did I just take? And
What
I
was
could
that magic
feel,
potion?
yeah, I could feel pain leave my body. I knew I was in pain, but I didn't know I was in that much pain. I literally could feel myself go, ah. And I was like, what was that? I'm not high at all. I just feel great and I'm not in pain. And I'm like, what is it? And so they explained it to me. So now I'm a fan and I want to know everything about it. My state, Florida, wasn't legal in medical marijuana yet. I started to meet with doctors and experts. I started reporting on, everything, all the research that was out there, everything I could think of to educate the public on why we want medical marijuana in Florida. I met a group of moms who called themselves the Canna Moms, who were healing their kids, stopping their kids' seizures, getting rid of their cancer, you name it. I was going to one conference after another, literally everything from famous football players who are no longer suffering from their head injury problems to kids with cancer. And I just thought to myself, this is inhumane to keep this medicine from anybody. And I literally sold my business and just threw myself into the cannabis industry, having no idea where I'd end up. but I was a huge advocate in Florida and got helped get it legalized there. I hired at the time the best consultant in the industry. He was the first person to open a dispensary in Boulder, Colorado. So he was the first legal dispensary to open. And I traveled everywhere with him. I learned how to source, what a good operation, manufacturer looked like versus a terrible one. And then in 2016, the University of Vermont School of Medicine reached out to him because they were offering a program and cannabis for the study of cannabis for its biology and therapeutic use. And they wanted a killer inaugural class, and they asked him if he knew anybody, and he nominated me, and I got to go.
That's
And that's
awesome.
where my brain exploded. That's where I learned about the endocannabinoid system, the cannabinoids, how the medicine works, what other mushrooms and plants interact with this system. And of course, that animals had an endocannabinoid system.
Right.
So, and we already had research showing that dogs, for instance, had more receptors. So they were hemp was super beneficial to them. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I already had
Awesome.
a senior dog rescue that I ran out of my house for 17 years. And I had a very busy grooming shop where when I bought the shop and it was a disaster and I completely redid it into a completely holistic, all natural. We didn't use anything. We cleaned with vinegar. That's how extra we were. So by the time, that got out, I had, a 3-month waiting list and I'd see 100 dogs on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And
Gosh.
most of them were suffering. Most of them were covered in lumps, bumps, skin issues, ear infections, skin sores, itchy, pain. And I just was like, and that's literally how I formulated all of my products. I couldn't even find a product when I got out of school that was good enough or that was a therapeutic dose. If I did find a product, it was a human product and they just slapped a paw label on it, little paw print on it. They'd have terrible ingredients like bacon flavor and
Oh, yeah.
xylitol, which is literally toxic and will kill a dog. So I was the crazy person at conferences going, get this crap off your table. But I healed myself and my dog with my tincture Ease, which I made for both of us, which is a full spectrum hemp extract with turmeric extract and frankincense extract. Turmeric and frankincense both share beta caryophyllene, which is a amazing terpene that's also found in cannabis and is the
Mm-hmm.
king of inflammation. It will get rid of their major anti-inflammatories. So I also learned that when you combine adaptogens, they become very, very powerful and synergistic. So that's why all of my formulas always include more than one, just to have that happen, that synergy happen. And so I made us our medicine, and our disease did not progress. I
That's
had no
amazing.
signs. He had no signs. He went at age 9. He was a miniature schnauzer. He went from stopping going up the stairs. That's why I knew there was an issue to back to running up the stairs again. So it's, when you look at it and you understand and you go to school and you learn how the system operates, how these plants and mushrooms interact with this system, it makes sense. And that's why I spend all my time talking about it because
Right.
what I know, our veterinarians and doctors aren't even taught about. So it sounds super woo woo, but the endocannabinoid system is the master system in our body. It's in charge of all of our other systems. Its main responsibility is to keep us at homeostasis, which means balanced. And our
Mm-hmm.
doctors and veterinarians it's not even mentioned to
It's
them.
not acknowledged at all.
Neither is traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic
Right.
medicine, herbalism, homeopathy, ozone, acupuncture. And we turn to these people in the white coat and think they have all the answers, and they don't. And we should
No.
never, ever put our health or our pet's health in someone else's hands, no matter if they've got a white coat on or not.
Yeah. So my head is spinning with a number of questions on things that you just said. But, one of the first things you said was that your illness was a function of stress. And I can relate to that. I had some conflicts, we'll call it, that led me to some very stressful times in my life, and it about destroyed my health.
Yep.
And it
And
wasn't until I got the stress and the nervous system all back under control that I started to recover. And I think many times our clients, the dog mom population, we talk about anxiety a lot. We talk about stressors a lot. And yet they live with it. They don't really go solve the problem. Can you speak to that a little bit, and why vets are so easy to say, well, let me give you some gabapentin and trazodone for your vet visit and your nail trim, and we're not getting to the root of those issues?
oh, well, because they're literally taught the opposite. So I have a podcast also, and I have interviewed hundreds of holistic and integrative veterinarians, and now I literally ask them. They're literally taught to go against what's natural. So when the body is having a reaction, like I just had, gosh, I could remember who I asked. It was awesome. I said, okay, I want to know what it's allergies. You're going to talk about allergies today in school. What do they say? And she's like, oh, you're going to like this one. She's like, they literally teach you that the body is wrong and that the reaction has to be turned off. The
The
root
suppression.
the root cause is never even discussed. I was actually on another veterinarian's podcast from South Africa, no language barrier. And I said something like get to the root cause type of person. She goes,
Right.
what do you mean by that?
Oh,
She
wow.
didn't even know what I meant
Oh, that
because they're
really
literally not taught that. They're taught that the body is reacting and is wrong and that needs to be stopped and turned off. And then they're also taught that you can't, Mother Nature provides us with all the food and medicine that we need. So they also teach us not to go and take food and plants and mushrooms as remedies because they want you to instead, because every pharmaceutical drug comes from a food, plant, or mushroom that did the job, but they can't patent that and make
right.
billions of dollars. So they take it into a lab and try to recreate it. And that's why they have to spend millions of dollars and why they have to prove that it's not going to kill the person or the animal right when they give them this concoction of chemicals. And one
Mhm.
of those chemicals is going to have an action. So the action, if you were, an allergy dog or whatever, is to suppress and turn off the immune system. And the immune system is what protects us and heals us. So call me whatever the hell you want. I know way too
I love
much.
that. I
I
love
am
that
not a
energy.
conspiracy theorist. This is literally, and I'm just going to speak for the pet side of things. They make the food that makes your dog sick. They then make you the drug that makes your dog better. That drug has a side effect. And then they have another drug and another drug and another drug. And I'm not just saying this. This is 10 years of doing the same darn thing. Every senior dog I would get was on 6 to 10 different medications, ear things, eye things, sprays, pills, multiple pain pills. Why? Why are we taking? I know why. Because pharmaceutical drugs are targeted. So one pathway or pathways is how everything works in our body. But pain, just for instance, goes through 5 signaling pathways. Drugs are targeted to just one of those pathways. That's why when you don't get complete pain relief, they give you another one and another one. They don't know what happens when these three are together, much less with all the other things that they may be taking. When cannabis has been proven to interact with all five naturally, that's the difference between nature and drugs.
Right. Listen,
Is
I'm
that
a big
instead
fan.
why would I give you a cannabis tincture that's going to completely take care of your pain and I just need for a human I needed to up the THC a little bit to make it from an aspirin to codeine. That's all I have to do. Or add other adaptogenic herbs that are also known to relieve pain, and I can relieve anything. I had a Doberman with osteosarcoma. I never had to give her a pain med. I had it on hand just in case, but I never had to. I used nature instead. I used THC instead. Also, people don't believe, people think, call me a conspiracy theorist or, whatever it is. I've been to the schools. I've been to the vet schools. I wasn't invited by the school. I was invited by their holistic club. And they come on their lunch hour and I teach them during their lunch hour. That's who I want my veterinarian to be, is one of those students sitting in there. And when you walk through the hallways, all over the walls are Hills, Mars, Purina posters. They give the students free food. They teach the classes. They fund the schools. Now they're buying up all of the veterinary practices. They own the insurance company. They own the food, everything. So they literally, animals are property. Dogs are considered property. So there is no repercussions for them killing your dog or killing thousands of dogs. There's a pharmaceutical drug right now, not even 5 years old, called Librela. And it has over 17,000 adverse events. There's literally a class action suit in its place. The FDA has put out a letter and a warning telling veterinarians, and yet they are prescribing it like crazy. Their marketing efforts are going harder. They're offering injectables in the EU. They don't care. They don't even. I even now, because I did my own piece of research, now I know what's required for their research. We all think that if a doctor is giving us a drug, that it has been researched to prove that it's effective and that it's safe. Nope. They don't have to do that.
Wasn't Librela the drug that failed human testing multiple times? And they said, well, since we can't pass it here, we're just going to move into the veterinary community.
Yeah, they don't say that out loud, but that's exactly what they do. And it happens all the time. I mean, every time, because remember, they had to go create it in a lab and spend millions of dollars to create this thing in a lab. Do you think they're just going to flush the milk? No, they reintroduce it as a new drug in the animal space. It's funny. I have holistics that are like, I don't use pharmaceuticals, but if I was considering one, it would have to be out on the market for 10 years for me to even look at it because of how often this happens.
So I am a huge fan of CBD, mushrooms, big fan of your company, your brand, all of the things. Can't learn enough from you. But why do you think so many pet parents are still stuck in the my vet said? Because I get that response a lot when I'm in a Facebook group or even a consultation that somebody's paying me for. They're like, but my vet said, and then I get all this resistance to the natural approach. What are your thoughts on that?
Because we've been brainwashed to trust our doctor at all costs and that they know better than us, and they don't. The fact that this isn't taught to our veterinarians, I teach veterinarians and doctors about the endocannabinoid system and the master system. So it's hard. I don't bother. I'm like, well, when the drug fails you or you start seeing the research or people, doing better by using natural. Well, it was kind of like what you said in the beginning, right? That people don't look at it, don't look for the alternative until they're forced to. And sometimes
not even then.
I know.
I made the mistake recently of popping in a few Facebook groups.
Oh,
one is on pancreatitis, one's on cancer, one's on seizures. I adopted a seizure dog recently. I had a dog die from pancreatitis 14 years ago before I knew anything. But these people are just taking med after med after med. And if one doesn't work, let's try the other. If that doesn't work, let's put them together.
No, we're not using critical thinking skills. We're not like, how does that make, like when I almost once a week get somebody going, hey, my dog is on three pain meds. Can I add the full spectrum? Is there any danger? And I'm like, matter of fact, stop the three pain meds and give the full spectrum hemp extract instead. That's not causing the fact that our doctors, it's a complete brainwash. We're literally told that they take an oath to do no harm. So we just can't. People don't understand that a pharmaceutical salesman walks into their office, tells them all about a new, fantastic, awesome drug. The vet says, "Are there any side effects?" They go, "Nope." And that is literally how the drug gets into your vet's office. Sometimes they're given kickbacks. Sometimes, they're giving a whole bunch of free samples and they hand them out. It's nuts. Also, the pharmaceutical drug companies don't have to prove that it's safe and effective.
Right.
Which I'll get to that point. But the problem is that everybody, until they have a reason not to trust the doctor or the vet, but what they don't understand is that vet was taught a standard of care.
Right.
They weren't taught anything about diet and nutrition. They weren't taught anything about the endocannabinoid system. Again, all the things I mentioned before, which they should. Should you be learning about the history of medicine and where it came from? And it's because whoever funds their school has decided what the curriculum is and what they're going to be taught. So if your dog has pancreatitis, then here's the drug, here's the food, here's the whatever. That's it. It's how to prescribe drugs, anatomy and physiology, and then how to prescribe drugs.
Right. And the scary part that I see about the food or the pancreatitis, for example, is the pain, right? But also the food being this dry, craptastic kibble full of synthetics that's going to not help your dog recover at all. And then I'm like, fresh food has real enzymes in it. Why are we not talking about that?
Why are they taking us away from what's real and natural?
Right.
Because they want to keep us sick. They want us to keep us as customers. Cancer is, I reported this is like 3 or 4 years old now. Do you understand oncology didn't even exist in the pet space. And now it's an $83 billion industry because again, it's the same people that Pfizer owns Zoetis, which is the one who makes all the drugs. So this is what people just need to do their homework and not just trust the doctor. And then they'll see, oh, okay. But I mean, I just came from a trip to Phoenix where I love to turn on the hotel television so I can see what normal commercials look like. And I can't believe that people listen to those commercials and then go and get those. Literally there was one for a side effect of your mental medication. And it's a drug that you take for your side effects, which causes depression. So you're taking a drug for depression. You have this horrible side effect. They give you another drug that then in turn causes depression. Right. What? What is wrong with people? How do you listen to that and not, please, whoever's listening, whatever you put in and on your body has an effect.
Sure.
And if it's a bunch of synthetics and man-made and isolates and chemicals, your body, your immune system has to react to it. It reacts to everything that you put in, and your liver has to metabolize it. And you're overworking your pet's liver unnecessarily by giving them all of these drugs. The objective should be to not be on drugs and to get yourself back to health, back to homeostasis, back to where your immune system's doing what it's supposed to. It's protecting you and has this amazing innate ability to heal itself, but it can't do it if it's constantly having to deal with these threat of chemicals that it's coming in contact with. And our poor dogs are down on the ground, sniffing everything that's on the ground, licking their paws that they stepped in and everything that they stepped in. So they have it so much harder than we do because the threats are so much bigger.
I I don't know which path to take first, but let me back up to the CBD discussion because I think that's an important one. And then we're going to talk about the synthetics deeply. But I've had many pet parents say to me, well, I tried CBD and it did not work.
Yep. So did I.
And I have a list of reasons that I believe that to be true and what was wrong with their approach or their product. But I'd like for you to speak about your experience in that remark of I tried it, it didn't do anything.
So we've had that with my products. And when it happens with my products, is because they used one drop instead of one dropper full.
Right.
So they were scared of it,
Yeah.
which just, again, if that doesn't prove that we're a brainwashed society, that something that's all natural that your body is going to recognize is more dangerous than the white pill, blows my mind.
Mhm.
You know, that we're that, again, everything is to take us out of what's natural, what our body does, and what nature does. But that's if it was my product. You probably used one drop instead of one dropper full. If it was another product, people need to realize that this is a completely unregulated industry and anybody can put anything in a bottle and call it whatever they want. And they
Right.
do. I am in the pet space because animals are my passion, especially dogs, the givers of unconditional love when you can't get it anywhere else sometimes. So I chose this space really thinking I'd be, surrounded by others like me. And what I'm surrounded by is a lot of bad players because they know we're going to spend more on our pet. They know we're not looking at the price. We're looking at, is this a all natural, holistic, good, or whatever? So we are literally surrounded by bad players, and it's
Right.
really hard to figure out who's good and who's not. And most of it is marketing. So most products aren't made a therapeutic dose. I
Right.
didn't I didn't go into this thinking I was going to formulate products. I thought I was going to help others formulate products. I thought I was going to educate. But then when you can't find anything made right or at a therapeutic dose, but they don't make it a therapeutic dose because it's going to be more expensive. How many times I was told nobody, Angie, nobody's going to buy a $99 1 ounce bottle of something. And I said they will if they get a 30-day money back guarantee and it works and it does
Mhm.
what I say it does. And it does. And it's our number one selling product.
Right.
Or that I shouldn't make a salve because that's ridiculous that I'm going to put salves on animals with fur. That doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I went to school. I know that dogs have 3 layers of the skin and there's CB1 and CB2 receptors on each layer of that skin. So if I put something topical and I do something internal, I'm going to speed up whatever the process is. It's literally helping the body do what it already knows how to do. So, no. So most products don't have enough in it, don't
Right.
have anything in it at all. They're broad spectrum, meaning they've taken out the THC, or they're a combination, or they're just a CBD isolate, or they're a combination of isolates. I'm seeing that done now, where there's literally a brand who takes several isolates, like 3 or 4, and puts them together and calls it broad spectrum. And I'm like, what? But what people don't understand is that natural medicine from plants and mushrooms have to be grown a certain way, just like you want the animals that your dog and cats eat for them to get a biologically appropriate diet so that your animals get a biologically appropriate diet. Same thing happens with plants and mushrooms. If they're not grown mushrooms on the correct substrate and the hemp in the correct conditions, and then harvested at a certain time, and then dried a certain way and extracted a certain way, that takes a lot of time and money and effort. Most products, 85% of supplements, both human and animal, even those with a doctor and veterinarian's name on, because let me tell you, your veterinarian and doctor don't know shit about formulating no supplement. They don't learn that in school. They didn't even learn diet and nutrition. It's all marketing.
Well, and a lot of them who are making the supplements are just going to some brand and putting
Yep.
their label on it with
Exactly. It's called
it's
white
not that they
labeling.
formulated it.
Yep. I was in the middle of a big argument right now over email with someone who did that. And I said, I have nothing. It's another brand. I said, I have nothing but respect for you. Is it true that you're getting your mushrooms from China? So then she answers me back with a whole explanation, which is just what the company told her.
Mm,
It's too expensive to grow mushrooms in the United States and Canada. Oh, okay. And
wow.
I'm like, no, it's not. Been doing it for 5 years now.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You just like having a cheap product that you can make a big profit off of.
Right. And, back in the dosing of CBD, I think people are fearful of how much to give. Like my little dachshund with seizures, he's 18 pounds. And most people, when they come to me with a little dog, they're like, I gave him 3 drops. And I'm like, dude, my dog gets 3 droppers a day, you know?
So
And he didn't die.
right. Well, that's what makes no sense, right? But they literally in 1973 did a study to see how much THC would kill a person. And like they do on all research, they did it on animals and they
Yeah.
did it on rats, beagles, and chimpanzees. And no beagles or chimpanzees died. It's called LD50. There is no lethal
Right.
dose for animals because people are comparing it to a pharmaceutical opioid, which will kill you, or a
Right.
pharmaceutical drug that if you take too much will kill you. That is impossible with an all natural hemp product that has a COA that's pure. Now, people are going to go Google, is THC toxic to my dogs? And they're going to see the whole page fill up with, yep, it is. It is. It is toxic. Trust me, I get these messages all the time. What I am
Yeah.
talking about is medical cannabis, medical hemp, pure products with certificates of analysis proving they're free of contaminants, isolates, herbicides, pesticides, heavy metals, all of that stuff. You bring something home from a recreational dispensary and your dog gets into it, that's a whole different thing. They're
Right.
using all kinds of crap. They're making products to get you high, not to heal. So no. And actually, the best thing you could do for a dog that gets into a recreational THC product is give them CBD because CBD dampens the effects of THC. So
I
there
didn't
you
know
go.
that.
Go grab your CBD and give it to them. But yes,
Awesome.
it's people will, just like you said in the beginning, when they don't know that they're being failed usually by their vet. I think that once they're like, wait, what? Matter of fact, I just had somebody who moved states, had a good vet, moved, got a bad vet, and was like, what is this? Is this normal? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the standard of care. That is normal. He was pushing vaccinations on me, was literally humiliating me because shaming me because I didn't want to do the flea and tick. And I'm like, you,
Right.
they work for you. Uh-uh.
Right.
No, you go in and you say what you want and what you don't want. And if you don't like the way it feels, get the hell out of there. I have, I don't know how many now. I have several holistic veterinarians on listed on my website and coaches that will help anybody who wants it. I know there's a shortage of good veterinarians and then even a shorter, less holistic veterinarians, but you literally can get all your blood work, all your tests done and sit on a phone call with the best holistic veterinarians in our country. And they are vets that went to school just like your regular vet did and got out and went, I didn't learn anything. And
Right.
they continued their schooling and education. They're the ones that come and listen to people like me on their lunch hours so that they can learn and so that they can really truly help animals. And
Right.
they should be celebrated and they're demonized just like we are from conventional doctors. What is it? We hear it. We're woo woo. We're conspiracy theorists. We're making it up. We have no proof. And yeah, they want to shut up people like us because we're disruptors. Never did I think I'd be a disruptor, but I am. I'm
You are.
disrupting a system that doesn't work.
Yeah,
And every time I learn something about it, I'm going to share it, which gets me in a lot of trouble. But I think it's very important for people to know. We should never hand our health over to anyone.
right.
It's our responsibility. We need to go find, if we're given a drug from a veterinarian, we need to go look up the side effects and everything about it before we put it in ourselves or on our inner animal.
Before you put it in, I see too many people, they're 2, 3 months in and they're like, all this is happening now. And I'm like, this is
And now
why.
we have to wean them, right? Because
Right.
it's dangerous to just take them off of it. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
And then what
So,
happens when you take it off, right? Like all the Apoquil and allergy things, all those freaking terrible things that cause so much issues. I've seen them all at my groom shop. Cancer, so many different types of
oh,
cancer
girl,
listed.
I saw, it wasn't my case, but I saw it recently where dog has a autoimmune disease that makes him itchy. And they're like, let's give him Apoquel. And that was from a holistic coach. Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
holistic is a marketing term.
Yeah.
Natural is a marketing term.
Right.
So you gotta, I love it because I remember the first time I went to a holistic veterinarian when I was looking for a new one in Florida, and I walked in and I saw the flea and tick meds right there and the poster on the wall, and I was like, "What?" And I turned around and walked out. I was like,
So
"No, this is not a
holistic,
holistic veterinarian."
no. And I'm seeing that a lot in a lot of different areas, a lot of different products, a lot of different Facebooks or titles or whatever it may be. And it's kind of become a buzzword that doesn't often have a lot of integrity behind it, or sometimes doesn't have a lot of integrity. And that really troubles me. I mean, it kills me to
Yeah.
see a holistic vet or a holistic coach still supporting the pet parent on prescription science diet. I'm like, why are you not educating them to come off of that? Why have we
They
let
don't know
this
what they're
go for six
doing.
months? Why have we
They don't
let
know
this
what they're
continue?
doing. They're too scared to do that because that's what I was saying. So if I tell you, you come to me and you want help, and I'm like, okay, this is how you wean off of the Apoquil or whatever it is. What do you think happens after a dog who's been on Apoquil for 3 months, a year? What happens when you suddenly stop giving them that drug? Their immune system is turned back on for the first time in however long. So, of course, a lot of times there's a reaction to that, right?
Yeah.
So, what do people do? Oh my God, see, it's back and it's, whatever it is. Well, this is the craziest thing about Apoquil. Apoquil blocks I haven't, I'm probably going to say it wrong. It's like, I think it's called the JAX3 receptor. It literally
Uh-huh.
just blocks this receptor. Full spectrum hemp extract modulates it,
Right.
doesn't turn it off, but instead, do we need to dampen the response or do we need to heighten it? What do we need to do instead of just turning it off? Again, the audacity of man to make drugs that literally turn off a body's action like they know better. It's
Mhm.
disgusting in my opinion. Same thing with the Librela. It turns off nerve growth factor. How do you think that you can do something like that and there's not going to be awful repercussions and side
Right.
effects?
Yeah. I agree.
They
I
know, they just don't care.
yeah, I talk to a lot of people about suppression and how that is not helpful. That is not healing.
In an
You
emergency situation, it is,
for sure.
but
But I
not
mean,
long term.
your dog is 4 years old and you've got him on these drugs now. I mean, you're never going to make it to 15 or 20,
Oh, hell
I've
no. He's
done
going
that
to have cancer by the time he's 7.
exactly. And people, I can't,
And I
they
want to go
don't.
like this. You want to bet on that? Because I'll bet you on it. I'll
Mhm.
bet you $1 million because I've been doing this that long and watching this happen
Right.
over and over again. That's why I'm such an angry person. This is why I'm such a passionate person. And
Right.
yes, uh, You got to make sure that holistic vet's a true holistic. Also, remember that holistic vet wasn't trained about supplements or diet and nutrition. So, where did they learn it from? They're just repeating what someone says. There are brands that have been around for 40 years that call themselves natural and holistic, and they're filled with synthetics and with isolates, and people have no idea. Just the other day, I was like, oh, let's see if I'm going to get kicked out of this Facebook group. I literally go on Facebook because my personal messages are the only ones that don't get checked by my team. So I go on for like 5 minutes, and whatever comes up in my feed, I react to, and then I go off. So up comes probably Dr. Judy's Facebook group with someone with a supplement going, my vet, I told my vet I wanted to give my dog, what did she say? Mushroom extracts and bone broth or something like that. And she told me I should give this instead. And her dog is only 4 years old. And what do? I go look at the ingredients. I also look at the 40 comments of, this is great. Oh, that's a great brand. It's been around for 40 years. Oh, my holistic vet loves that. I've been giving that to my dog, blah, blah, blah. Nobody reads the effing ingredients. Everybody just wants to say, look, all these people said it was good. And then there's me. And I go, well, it starts with a whole bunch of grain. So not sure why we would want to give that to our dog. And I didn't even finish. And I posted it. And then I was like, oh, and then here's the vitamin and mineral isolates that are also in this, and what they cause and what will happen. So this is a big no for me. I was like, oh, let's go. Let's see if I get kicked out of the group for telling the truth, for telling people to read the freaking label. People need to realize what's on the front of the bottle doesn't matter. Turn it around. You have to read those ingredients, especially the inactive ingredients, which is where they hide all the fillers and additives. And fillers and additives are only in that product because the manufacturer or the brand, the company wants to make more money. They want to cut how much they're putting in the product with something. So one of my favorites that I like to bring up because it really pisses off one of my competitors who loathes me is, and they've been trying to shut me up for like 3 years now, canceled me, threatened, you name it. But they want me to stop sharing about something called microcrystalline cellulose, which is literally wood pulp, sawdust, and it's used to fill your capsules to make them look completely fill. Or again, a lot of times they use it to help the machinery. Like when they go, Angie, it's to help the machinery work better. Oh, okay. Then it's okay for me to buy a $90 or a $50 supplement that is got sawdust in it. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure if I took a vote and said, who knew that your supplements have sawdust in them? Are you okay with that? I'm pretty sure people would not be okay with that. Or silicone dioxide. It's sand. And so people go, okay, well, maybe it's not so bad. What do you think happens when you give it every single day? You're throwing that powder on their food. You're giving them capsules with it in it. It's and then it's probably in the food too. Microcrystalline cellulose is actually used on shredded cheese. So don't buy shredded cheese because it's covered in sawdust to keep it from sticking together.
Right. Yeah. So all of these things, they're maddening, and it drives me crazy to go in these Facebook groups, and someone like you, I'm definitely not as skilled and knowledgeable, but I know some stuff.
Right.
And you go in and you come in and you say, I want you to go research or look into or consider these things. And 14 other dog mamas come in and go, it's okay, it's fine. And I'm like, why can't you listen to somebody who actually studies this stuff? It just drives me insane.
What I do it, and then I hope that the 1 or 2 people that see it.
Me too. That they just click on my name and go, oh, let me dig a little deeper.
Here's someone who's not saying what everyone else is saying. Here's someone who actually, like the fact that when you just look at the comments, yes, great company, around a long time, been taking it, whatever. Nobody is going, yes, it has this in it, which is really beneficial. It's a, full spectrum product versus, and like nobody's saying that. They're just going, yeah,
Right.
join the
And so
club. I want to be
what I
popular
what I
too.
try to get people to understand is that if you buy better first, you build a food bowl better first, you don't need all this crazy supplementation unless there's some problem, real problem. But if you're
And that's when drugs are needed. When there's a
maybe,
where
yeah,
there's an emergency. Even Apoquil was made to only be taken like 3 days at a time. But of course it's not.
no, it's
That's how it was introduced as a drug, is to just stop the overreaction so that we could get to the root cause and figure out what was causing it. That
right,
never happens. They get put on it, and then when it stops working, they get put on Cytopoint, and then Cytopoint and their injections, they have to keep going back, and the time gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And then about that time is when they start having other immune
right.
dysfunction, or depending on their age, start have a cancer or lump or bump or some sort of
And then they
autoimmune.
think, well, my dog's just old. My dog's just getting old. And I'm like, old is not a reason to die.
But
You
that's
know?
literally, age is not a disease. Age is
Exactly.
a lack of homeostasis. And the reason they're saying that is because that's what their vets tell them. That's
Right.
why I had a senior dog rescue, because I had a bunch of dogs that people gave up on because they had switched the food a million times, been on all these medications, and now the dog is pooping and peeing all over the place, getting lost, wandered around, all slobbery and icky, and they just don't know what to do anymore. And so they ended up and then when they go to the vet says, they're old. There's nothing you can
Mhm.
do. The hell there isn't. The
Right.
fact that there is nothing for people or dogs that helps them with dementia blows my mind. And I don't think people understand that. Oh, this is my favorite thing to always share with people. It's what the top, now I say, top 4 causes of death for humans and animals are. Number 1 and number 2 are heart disease and cancer. Both of those diseases are caused by lifestyle, diet and nutrition, exercise, toxins, your air quality, water quality. Our doctors are taught nothing about that. So, how can they help us with those 2 diseases? Right? Why would
Right.
we go to them? They don't know how they work. Third leading cause is medical error. They proved
Mhm.
this in research, and that is because they're just taught what to prescribe and do. And when they pile them up, of course, there's going to be side effect and reaction when you put all these chemicals together in a body that's already sick or diseased. And then the fourth leading cause is dementia. And dementia, people think is just a memory disease, and it is not. Dementia kills you because you forget how to eat and drink. And people don't realize that. And I discovered this. I did not recognize early signs of sundowners because nobody's talking about it. So
Right.
I kept seeing it and knowing that I could help with my full spectrum hemp extract. But it wasn't until one of my dogs, when she was 18, started getting up and walking over to the water bowl and just stand there and stare at it and go back, lay down, get up and do it repeatedly, like 4 times in a row. And it wasn't until my partner said, "Hey, I think she has Alzheimer's," because he lost his dad to Alzheimer's. And sure enough,
Mm.
I looked it up and I'm like, well, what can we do? This is ridiculous. This is why I have a whole bunch of old dogs. This is why I have vets calling me because they feel bad. They weren't taught anything in their standard of care of what to do when a dog starts having
Right.
signs of dementia. They have no idea. So they offer to put them down and that's it. Or they'd give me a call and go, "Hey, I think you could do something with this dog." So I started to look at what adaptogens, which you know what adaptogens are. Those of you who don't, they're plants and mushrooms, sometimes dirt that when we take them, they adapt to our stressors and work to bring us back to balance and homeostasis. So you and I could take the same tincture and it would do different things for both of us. So I started to look at something called nootropics, which are adaptogens for the brain. And we already have research proving that lion's mane dual extracts, their compounds, and a Ayurvedic adaptogen called Bacopa monnieri have already been proven to help the brain. So they've been proven to regrow our telomeres, which our telomeres are this X DNA structure inside of every single one of our cells. And when our cells replicate, they shrink. And both Bacopa monnieri and lion's mane regrow our telomeres. So they're literally anti-agers. They also regenerate neurons instead of degenerate them. So taking that information and then being able to source them here in the United States, where I can go walk onto the farm and walk onto my manufacturers and see how anything is done at any time. All my farmers are organic. I have regenerative, biodynamic farmers who grow everything that we make. We grow everything on the correct substrate. So if it's a log or a live birch tree that it needs to be growing on to have the medicinal compounds, it has those things. I forgot what I was talking about. I got off, but oh, the anti-aging. So
Yeah.
I also took the benefits of reishi's research and cordyceps research and ashwagandha and how they can calm the brain activity, and literally formulated a product that I watched dogs, whether they had mild to moderate CCD, meaning early signs are they're getting up in the middle of the night, walking around. They don't know whether they have to go to the bathroom or get a drink of water. They have interrupted sleep.
Right.
Sometimes they will go over and pee on the floor because they just don't know what they're doing. To moderate, where they're standing in corners, getting lost, or just barking at nothing, or pacing nonstop during the day, to severe, which is, they can
Right.
barely function. So I created this formula and got to watch all these dogs get better. And then I was like, well, if there's nothing on the market, I'm going to do a piece of research to prove that my formula works. So we hired a research firm that was led by a conventional veterinarian he was a veterinarian for 15 years and has been operating this research center for 15 years. And he met with us on the first day and told us that we should probably dampen our expectations because most research doesn't prove that things actually do anything. And I just smiled and was like, well, guess there's going to be your first time. And he shared with us, because he does this for pharmaceutical companies. And I did that on purpose because I wanted apples to apples comparison. And he told me that pharmaceutical companies, when they make a drug for pets, all they have to do is prove that the animal's health doesn't change the first 3 months. That's all they have to do. They don't ever have to prove that it's effective. They just have to prove that it's not going to make the animal's health worse. So what do? They go buy the puppies from Ridgeland.
Yeah.
And they start testing their drug, and their objective is to get to 3 months with nobody dying or having a bad side effect. After I learned this, I went
trials too, right?
the what?
That's true of like the food trials from AFCO.
Oh, I'm sure. Because it's all bullshit. So
Yeah.
I go to the Apoquil research. Sure enough, 3 times different 3-month research studies. They go, started this one there, and then you're like, why'd we start another one? What happened to that one? I literally had to take it into chat and go, what's going on here? And they're like, well, oftentimes pharmaceutical companies will stop a piece of research when they get the results they don't want and start it again. So Apoquil's got a warning. Don't give it to dogs less than 12 months of age. Want to know how they figured out that one? They killed puppies. So there's the other thing. You love dogs. Do you know what that drug that you're giving that's going to harm your dog, how many dogs it hurt or harmed or killed? And Librela that I just brought up. I went and looked at their research. I think they started one, stopped. Their second one, they ran. They ran it for the 3-month period. And do you know how they tracked their progress? Pet parent surveys.
Uh, wow.
Dana, I did more than a pharmaceutical company who has hundreds of billions of dollars. I put on a piece of research. I did 2 blood tests. I tested the C reactive protein, which is an indication of inflammation throughout the body. I also did a brain derived nootropic factor, which is a test to see if you have neurogenesis and neurons are being regenerated, I mean. I also did a collar that tracked their activity, heart rate, breathing, whether they were up all day pacing around, whether they
Right.
were sleeping at night. And I did a pet parent survey. So little old me did more than Zoetis did.
That's
My
amazing.
drugs, my products are impossible. You could pour the whole thing down their throat and there wouldn't even be, maybe on the CBD, they might get a little high,
A
but
little sleepy.
nothing, yeah, a little sleepy, nothing like a pharmaceutical drug, but that they would not cause any harm. And the reason is because the body recognizes it. The body knows what it is when it's in its whole form. It doesn't know what it is when it's a chemical drug. That means the immune system has to respond, and that's why the immune system's always responding. It's not overreacting, it's reacting to the constant threats that it's getting from their food, then their drug, and the flea and tick, and their environment, and the candles, and the laundry detergent,
Yeah.
and the, you know.
All the things.
So
So
we showed, and
I go ahead, finish. I'm
I just
sorry.
wanted to say that my research showed an 81% improvement rate on dogs, which is
That's
unheard of.
huge.
Our
That's
mild and
huge.
moderate dogs got better, so we reversed their condition. And the severe dogs, they didn't get worse, which if you've ever had a dog, it happens fast. It like starts going downhill fast. So this is, of course, unbelievable results, and nobody cares.
I care.
I
I will
know.
never
Thank
be,
you for
I
caring.
never want to be without CBD. I'm worried about the future of all this Congress stuff.
So
Maybe you
am
can talk
I.
to that in a minute, but I never want to be without CBD for me or my dogs. I
Me
never want to
neither.
be without mushrooms. We take them every day.
Thank you. Me
Um,
too.
and you know what you're talking about with a senior dog, so important to me. I had 2 dachshunds live to over 20 in good health. There were no real issues, and I want that for everybody. So can you speak a little bit about CBD and mushroom tinctures on the proactive side?
What do you mean? Like
Not
how
just when
they're,
we see, yeah,
oh,
you know,
yes.
when to start them so that we're
So,
just part of the
yep.
process of keeping ourselves healthy versus, uh-oh, there's a problem, now we treat the problem.
Yep. I think if you've got a certain breed that you should start earlier than later. I always say I want to make a t-shirt that says every senior citizen should be on both. And
Agreed.
what they're doing is they're literally just helping your body continue to do its job. That's all they're doing. Your body knows how to keep yourself healthy. It's just as we get older, it needs some help. And Mother Nature has provided it in food and plants and mushrooms. So think of it that way. There's no there's no time that's too early to start because they're all natural. So mushrooms, for instance, are packed, well, so is hemp, packed full of nutrients that are void in our diets now because 95% of our food that's coming from a grocery store or even the best food companies is factory farmed. So it's lacking those vitamins and minerals and nutrients and fatty acids and all those things that we need to survive.
Right.
But guess what? I have another t-shirt that says cannabis and mushrooms will save the world. And that is why. Because Hemp, I just feel like, is interacting with this master system that's keeping us at homeostasis. That's what it's working on. No pain, no anxiety. And then the mushrooms are providing all of those nutrients that are lacking in our food, along with the medicinal compounds. So the fact that there's mushrooms and herbs that help our brain, help our heart, our liver, our body, our immune system, we have receptors all over our body for the endocannabinoid system. And this system is a system where we produce endocannabinoids. And if we don't, we have issues. We have a deficiency in our endocannabinoid system. And the cannabis plant produces phytocannabinoids that fill those deficiencies. And that's why it's helps so many things, is because it's interacting with that master system. So everything from mood, anxiety, stress, pain, inflammation, it does it all. And that's why it's being banned. That's why they're going to keep it away from us, because it literally would take the place of most pharmaceutical drugs. And until Big Pharma can figure out, which now they're going to be allowed to, because the president rescheduled cannabis. So now Big Pharma can now start making pharmaceutical drugs out of all of the cannabinoids. So there's going to be all kinds of drugs being released or researched or whatever made out of this plant, instead of keeping it in its full whole form.
I don't like that.
I don't like it either. Supposedly there's another bill that's been put out. I literally cried about it this morning talking to someone else, because it's they're literally trying to redefine what hemp is and get rid of it. And they're making it literally impossible to do what I do. Because it's not possible. They're saying this is the rule, and you can't follow the rule. You can't do anything. It's a trick to make us all go away. And remember, it's not just big pharma. It's big liquor and big marijuana that are trying to get rid of us too.
I know. And I don't like it. Is there anything that we as a pet parent community can do to help to change the future
we're rebuilding the Underground Railroad again, because that's what they're going to force all of us to do, is go back to going underground, and a bunch of women who are going to make sure people get what they need. But you can try calling your senators and complain, and you can go to the hemp roundtable, which literally has the emails and everything already written for you. You just have to put in your zip code and sign it and send it off. But yeah, they're taking away our rights left and right, and people don't even know it. Homeopathy is also under threat.
I know.
They're fighting like crazy. And, in my opinion, we should be going ape shit, because they're literally behind, if you knew what I knew, behind the scenes.
They're coming
taking
after
it away.
all the natural stuff. A few years ago, it was how hardcore can we hit the essential oil community, and then the homeopathics, and
because I already can't get my eye drops. I already can't get my all natural eye drops. That was as 2 years ago. And let me tell you how that happened. What happened is the evil players that make the eye drops that are bad for you took down the natural ones. They turned them into the FDA and said, there's no preservative in this. This is bad. This shouldn't be on the market. And they won. And now my eye drops are gone. So people don't think it could happen. You're going to have, your only choices are going to be poison or poison. That's going to be your choices if we don't fight.
And manufactured meat. Oh, it's all bad.
It's all bad. It's all fake. It's all, that's what I'm saying. Everything, like how I started and said, they want your body to stop doing what it should do naturally. They want nature. They want to get you away from nature. And that is what the problem is. And that's why we have so much dementia and cancer and heart disease and everything. And then they're going to have a pill for every single one of those things that they cause.
And I'll cut this out of the script if you want me to, but do you think this is driven just by greed, or is there some other master plan?
All greed and control. Every time I look for the what? That doesn't make any sense. And I go down, it's all about the money. That's how I found out about fillers and additives.
Right.
I was like, what the hell are these things? And why are they in almost everything? Like literally. And that's, I know people are probably listening and being like, whoa, gosh,
A
this is too
lot.
much. I can't handle it. I don't want to know. Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is you find out you have cancer, your dog has cancer, and there was something
Right.
that you could do about it. But I don't want people to be overwhelmed, because once you get into this and you start practicing and looking and reading, you're going to go, oh my God, this is a toxic world we live in. But then it becomes not a lot easier, but easier to find the very few people like me who make incredible products. You got to look hard. I just recently was looking for two natural sources of vitamin C, and like something that would be considered a multivitamin, but it's all food and plant and
Right.
mushroom. And I found an incredible company. So it's like, really, when you find those companies that do everything to make therapeutic, pure plant mushroom products, it's like a yay. But you got to make sure that company doesn't get bought,
I
because
know. And that
because
happens
they
all the
might
time. A
all the
company that
time.
you love and trust and think is doing things right sells for profit. The formulation changes, the integrity changes.
Sometimes it's not even they don't even sell, they just bring on. So Mars, for instance, offers grants. And if you get one of their grants, they get to put a board person on your board, and then all of a sudden things change. So I've had that happen where I was like, "Hey, I heard I heard a rumor and I wanted to make sure it wasn't true." And they're like, yeah, it's true. And I'm like, I also heard you changed this. Yeah, we did. What problem do you see with that? And then I tell them. But it's incredible. It's
Yeah.
incredible. So it's like it's hard. That's why I do love the good vets, the coaches, the stores, the retailers, the little boutique stores that vet all the products that come into their thing. But even then, you buy something from them, you still need to go make sure.
Right.
You still need to read the ingredients, because what's going to happen if it does hurt your dog? You going to blame them? Because it's your fault, not theirs.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
dog. Nobody knows your pet better than you.
Yeah. You can blame them. You can make angry Facebook posts all day long, but it's not going to bring your dog back and you're going to
Nope.
get nothing out of it. It's not going to go anywhere.
Nope. Read the damn label. It's the least you could do.
So, Angela, you're amazing. I
Thank you.
love
So are
this.
you.
What other fired up topics do we need to wrap up with? Anything on your mind we have not covered yet?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure your audience knows that you have a choice.
Yeah.
That's what I think the worst part is that when I lost my first dog at 7, I didn't know I had a choice. I thought the person in the white coat knew better, and I did everything that they said, and she suffered for a year and then was gone at age 7. And I vowed to never, ever do that again. And now I know way too much about how things are done. I was very naive. I had no, I mean, I'm sure it was my late 20s, but I remember thinking that everything that was on the grocery store shelf or that would be given to me by a doctor wouldn't possibly kill me or hurt me. Yes, they do.
I know.
And we don't think about it when we're young. And
Well, and some of
we
us
don't
don't
think
think
about it
about
with
it
our
when,
dogs.
yes, there are people today that you're in a situation, it may be an emergency, and you go to the vet with a pancreatitis or your first seizure, right? Nobody's looking at the fact that you have accumulated for the last 10 years vaccines, toxins, all the things. Nobody tells you about detox or CBD or any of those things that are going to help the body try to recover and manage. You just get put on phenobarbital or Capra and the liver and all the stuff. And people don't know the questions to ask, which is part of what I keep trying to do is say, just ask better questions.
Or go home and research it.
That's what I'm saying. Dig a little deeper. You can stand there with your, and do you know Jennifer Carter? I think you do.
Yeah.
Love her, but we did a chat recently about when she was rehabbing her dog's knee. She and I took a little bit different approach, but we both did it naturally. And she said she took her dog to the vet. He gave her the prescription for carprofen or whatever it was. And she said, I took it, but I was never going to use it. But that's kind of the thing. People like her, you and me, we have a hard time sometimes. I don't anymore. I just stand up and say, I'm out. But most dog moms would not be able to say no. They would not be able to say, I'm not doing that. What else can we do? You know? Or they don't know there's an alternative. And that's what I think so many of us are trying to bring awareness to, is that it doesn't have to be what it's always been.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my rescues yesterday, who use our products like crazy, and they have health and pet health insurance. So they always take the dog to the vet. And I'm like, it's almost like this obligation. I've got insurance, so I'm going to take them for everything. Okay, well, they're going to give you a drug for everything, and all those drugs have a side effect and an implication on their health, on their health span. And so insurance is important, just like doctors are important for emergencies. But daily, how you take care of yourself, diet and nutrition, your doctor is not trained for that. So you shouldn't be depending on them for that. You should be depending on them for emergencies and for labs. And again, I like to take my labs and go sit on a telehealth call with my favorite holistic veterinarian so we can go through them and see what they really are. Or then the other thing, I found a good use for AI, and that is to put all of your dog's records into AI so that you can literally say, what is this? What is this? What's going on? What are the side effects? Tell me the black box warnings. Ever since I gave her this is happening. What could cause this? I mean, it is fun.
I agree.
It is amazing what you can find out. But remember that AI just scrapes the internet, and those who pay the most money are going to get their information. So you literally have to train your AI and say, I want holistic, which they don't really know the definition of. So you have to say, I want traditional medicine, like Chinese medicine, herbalism, Ayurvedic, that type of holistic natural medicine for my pet.
Right.
And then you can be able to go, okay, he's on these drugs. How long? Because that's what's crazy, is that a lot of the vets don't even know how these drugs were supposed to be intended to be used, because they're supposed to be short term. So even asking AI, what are the long-term effects? What are the short term? What can I do naturally, like you said, to support them before and afterwards? How do you detox? How many times I've sat on consultations? I used to do consultations in the beginning because I just could not believe how it was the same thing over and over. Every antibiotics and steroids handed out like candy. I would go through years of paperwork. I just did it with somebody, where how many times the dogs get a misdiagnosis or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, you were given an antibiotic. You came in for this. You were given an antibiotic. Where was the test that proved they had a bacterial infection?
Right.
Never done.
And I hate that you go in and they're like, we don't really know, but here's an antibiotic and a steroid.
Like there's no side effect to those.
Like it's 2 aspirin, call me back if it doesn't get better, right? And then 2 months later, you're back in and they're like, well, let's try a different antibiotic. And I'm like, oh my God, you are just wrecking everything.
You're taking away the body's defense system doing that.
Or
and if you never do anything.
You're on the 3rd round of antibiotics for an ear infection and nobody mentioned food. Are you kidding me? It makes me crazy. So we need to get together over cocktails one night and just let loose.
Or over some cannabis. Cannabis is a lot safer than cocktails. one of the things I like to say, like if someone is like, no way, no way. I'm like, okay, in 1992, do you know who owned the patent on cannabis as a neuroprotectant and an antioxidant?
I do not.
The United States government.
Oh,
So they know they're in on it. And FDA is here to help the pharmaceutical companies, and so is our government. And we have to hope these few people that are, putting these bills out for hemp. I mean, I don't think they understand the implications on people's health, but they understand the implications on an entire industry that they made legal, and now they're just literally trying to take it away. Blows my mind. So yeah, you got to fight for your right. And if they don't, then we're going back underground, because I did this for 2 or 3 years and helped people and animals with all kinds of horrible things. I used to fly from California with a whole suitcase full of medicine. And I was like, if I get arrested, it'll be a great PR. I mean, like, this is what they
there you
needed.
go. Yeah.
Take me away. Because it's complete bullshit and really corrupt, and I really hope that they don't get away with it. But I've never felt so powerless. It's really sad to spend so much time and energy on research and fighting and proving, and even if the hemp ban doesn't go through, there's still states that are California has banned hemp because they want it in the dispensaries.
Yeah. But to know what you know, to see the power of it and the healing case study after case study and dog or what, and to know that that's at risk, it's really, I know it's majorly upsetting to you because it just breaks
While
my
a
heart
drug
to
like
think,
Librela is
where
still
are we
being
going?
prescribed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I went on, I had two attorneys, they killed two attorneys' dogs. So they've gotten together and they're putting the class action suit. And it's literally about transparency,
Yeah.
because the vet said, the one attorney's vet asked the person, is there any side effects? And they said no. And she does believe that there are veterinarians that are saying this drug killed dogs.
Right.
Like, what else needs to be done? So I have the attorney on. I'm like, I don't understand why this drug is still in the market. Why hasn't the FDA pulled it off the market, right? He goes, that's not the FDA's job. They don't do that. It's the responsibility of the manufacturer to do it, because they're supposed to be good people or have morals or ethics.
Yeah.
Well, they're not.
That
So we're just going to let them continue?
And that's part of the problem. And it takes us right back to the beginning of this conversation. Pet parents are not speaking up. They are trusting what the vet said and tuning out you and me on a lesser scale, but they're just fixated on that path. And the big companies are not going to let that revenue go easily.
Every time a state becomes marijuana becomes illegal in their state, Big Pharma loses 1.5 to 2% of their profits or revenues, which is like 20 to 50 billion dollars. So they don't like it. They don't like it, and they don't like that it's dipping into their revenues, and that they can't do anything about it because it was a Schedule 3 drugs or Schedule 1 drug. So they were like, nope, we can't touch that because it's federally illegal. Not anymore. Now they can take it over and make it theirs. And it's just like Mars releasing their first raw pet food.
That doesn't even start with meat. It's not the first. Don't even get me started.
But they know the consumer isn't going to read the label.
Right.
And they know they can market and say whatever they want and get away with it.
I know.
And that's why you have to be a consumer who reads labels. Read it, looks good, turn it around, read that label. You can't pronounce something or don't recognize it, put it back. Mm-hmm. If it's a natural product and doesn't have a QR code taking you to a COA, put it back. I say
I've
that,
come
but
to
I know
the
people do
conclusion
it.
that if it's marketed on TV, we do not need it. Seriously, I mean,
If
we
it has
just,
a whole bunch of side effects listed at the
I
end.
know at the very bottom, you know, you need your old lady glasses to read it, but I'm like, good Lord.
Yeah, it's
All
nuts.
right. Well, my friend, I have kept you longer than I should. I appreciate your time very much.
I
And
enjoyed our conversation. It was awesome.
yeah, let's do it again
Feels like
sometime.
a therapy session.
I know. I appreciate that. I appreciate your candor and your honesty and your expertise. And so we're going to keep sending people your way.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks for
You
having
have a
me on.
great day, and I'll let you know when this is ready.
Awesome.
Take care. Thank you so much.
You too.
Listening to Dogsplainin. We know you've got a lot of choices when it comes to dog advice. We appreciate you trusting us to keep it honest and helpful.
If today's episode helped you understand your dog's needs more clearly, share it with someone who may also need to hear it. And don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
For more resources, visit us online or join the conversation in our community. We'll be back soon with more insight into your dog's behavior, health, and wellness. Questions welcome, and we love guests.
Until then, keep listening to Dogsplainin.
Excellent.